So let's take a look at how, with all the special rules and the independent character, the assault phase will go. From the battlefield standpoint, without wanting to break it down into the very, very basic assault trees that I created for the earlier assault tutorial video, we would take a look at the initiatives that are available. Before we go too far into the assault phase, we need to talk about how terrain plays out in an assault. Because the orcs had to roll to determine if they were going to be able to make it to assaulting the Black Templars, if the orcs did not have stick bombs, or the equivalent in Space Marine terms of frag grenades, their initiative would drop down to a 1, and the fact that they have Furious Charge would not improve it to a 2. It would stay a 1. These orc boys do have stick bombs, though, so their base initiative of 3 is bumped up to a 4 for this assault. The Emperor's Champion has initiative of 5. The standard Space Marines up on the ridge have initiative of 4. So the Emperor's Champion will attack first, and the Black Templar and Orcs will fight simultaneously. We're going to go ahead and move them off the terrain so that we can actually show you in a more streamlined approach exactly who's attacking when. What's important to remember is that, again, the Emperor's Champion and the squad itself act as two separate and distinct units. So when the Orc player decides they're going to roll to hit, they need to identify whether or not, before the dice are rolled, how many attacks are going to the Emperor's Champion, based on who can even get to him at the start of the battle, and how many attacks will be going to the squad. If the Emperor's Champion ends up destroying a whole bunch of orcs and the orc player removes them from the middle of his field, that does not matter from the standpoint of who can assault the Emperor's Champion. The Emperor's Champion can be assaulted by any number at the start of the assault who is in base contact with him or within 2 inches of that, since these are all in the same squad. So let's break down that tree again and see exactly who's attacking first. So, again, the Emperor's Champion has initiative of 5, so he will be going first. All the Crusader squad, as well as the Orcs, all have initiative of 4, so they will be attacking at the same turn. Same turn, or same initiative of 4. Let's go ahead and roll this up. The Emperor's Champion has a base attack of 2, but has an additional close combat weapon, so he gets 3 attacks. He did not initiate the charge, so it stops at 3. His weapon skill is a 6. Their weapon skill is a 4. So he requires a 3 to hit. And he rolls a 4, 5, and 6. Had any of these dice been a 2 or a 1, again, because of the accept any challenge no matter the odds, they would be able to reroll. But he gets 3 hits. Now, the toughness of the Orc is a 4, and the strength of the Black Sword wielding Emperor's Champion is a 6, so it only requires 2s to wound. He gets a 3, 4, and a 4. The Black Sword is also a power weapon, so no armor saves may be taken. It's important to remember that in the assault phase, units cannot utilize terrain cover saves. So now we're looking at initiative 4 going. Now, both sides are going to be fighting simultaneously, but you kind of need to take care of one side at a time. So we're going to start with the Black Templars fighting the Orcs. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Crusaders remaining. They do not have 2 weapons, and they were assaulted with a base attack of 1, so effectively there's 1 attack for each one of these guys. Their weapon skill is a 4. The weapon skill of the Orcs is a 4. They need 4s to hit. And they roll 6, 5, 5, 6, 1, and 3. Now, again, the Black Templars, because of the vow given to them by the Emperor's Champion, mean that they have preferred enemy against the Orcs, and they get to re-roll the hits. Rolling a 5 and a 4. So they have hit every single one of the Orcs, or each one of the Black Templars have scored a hit against the Orcs. Their strength is 4. The toughness of the orc is 4. They require 4s to wound. And they score 4 wounds. Now, none of the Black Templars have power weapons, so the orcs have their 6-up armor saves. Okay, so there are 4 wounds that the Black Templar have caused against the orcs. The orcs with relatively limited firing strength have decided to assign all their wounds to their standard orc boys with Slugga and Choppa. And they roll incredibly well with a 4, 5, 5, 6, but unfortunately their armor save is 6, so only 1 survives, 3 casualties. They still get to fight this turn though, so we're just going to knock them over so we can represent that they will be dying at the conclusion of this initiative, but they have not died yet. They still get to attack back. So let's determine exactly how many dice the orcs get to fight back against the Black Templars. The orcs have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 boys with Choppa and Slugga. Base attack of 2. They have an additional close combat weapon because the pistol counts as a close combat weapon. And they assaulted. So that means for each one of those, they get 4 attacks for each one of these, totaling 36. The big shooter does not have an additional close combat weapon, but still gets the +1 for the charge. So he gets an additional, you add an additional 3 to the 36, resulting in 39 attacks against the Black Templars. The orcs have decided that they're going to assign 3 of their orcs against the Emperor's Champion. If you remember how it was set up here in the terrain, there were approximately 5 orcs that they could have chosen to fight the Emperor's Champion. They're going to choose to do 3. So we're going to break up those attacks. The black dice represent the number of attacks the orcs are going to have against the Crusader squad. The white dice represent the number of attacks the orcs are going to have against the Emperor's Champion. Weapon skill 4 versus weapon skill 4. They need 4s on the black dice. Weapon skill 4 versus weapon skill 6. They need 4s on the white dice. So we're just looking for 4 pluses. These are the resulting hits against the Templar Crusader squad. These are the resulting hits against the Emperor's Champion. Now let's roll wound. Now remember, the initial strength of the Orc Boys is a 3, but because they charge, their Furious Charge skill gives them a +1 to strength. The toughness of both the Emperor's Champion and the Crusader squad is a 4. So now the Orcs need 4s on these dice to wound either the Emperor's Champion or the Crusader squad. Here are the resulting dice rolls. These are the attacks against the Crusader squad. These are the attacks against the Emperor's Champion. Now, the Emperor's Champion will take all 4 wounds. These need to be assigned individually to... These wounds need to be assigned to the various Marines in the Crusader squad. Based on the type of unit, we're going to assign 1 to each one. And again, since there are more dice than there are models, we need to assign these 2 additional dice. We're going to add 1 to the flame template and add 1 to the group of guys carrying bolter guns. So let's roll the saves. Here's the Emperor's Champion first. And the Emperor's Champion takes 1 wound. So now we have the resulting armor save dice rolls, and unfortunately the Black Templars have rolled very poorly. The missile launcher guy rolls a 2, so he dies during this phase. The flame template guy rolled a 1 and a 4. He dies because he only has 1 wound as well. And unfortunately the guys with the bolters just rolled really poorly, and all 4 of them get knocked over.